So, as musicians, we know that every piece of gear we use has issues. Um, Now, with most gear, it's just a matter of if the utility that that piece of gear provides us for our music is worth those issues and limitations. So, you guys know I've been making videos primarily with this, the Teenage Engineering EP1320 Medieval, for a couple of weeks now, and I more or less formed my opinion about the device. People who watch and have been watching will know that I tend to make content with this, the MPC One Plus. I'm gonna do a video in the future that talks about the differences between these two devices and compares them. That's not what today's video is going to be. Today I'm going to make something simple with the MPC One Plus and just show how easy it is to use and things that it does that you can't possibly do with something like this. And I know there's some techno musicians and there's some beat makers out there for whom none of this will matter, because you guys, you don't play instruments. You're simply using these devices to load in samples or to sample, to chop up those samples, maybe play the samples chromatically or in a scale, and you're making beats, which making beats versus making songs are completely different things. I do enjoy making beats from time to time, and the process is completely different. Like, let's say I have a beat that I've put in A. That entire beat's going to be in A. I'm going to dump out the stems from the MPC One Plus, take them into Logic, which is my digital audio workstation of choice. I'm going to chop up certain parts, not let the drums play in other parts, not let the melody play in certain parts, drop the bass out in certain parts. I might employ a rule like only having 3 elements of the song playing at once to give the illusion of change. However, musicians like myself who play instruments and who primarily write songs and listen to songs for the songcraft, was there an interesting chord change? Did we shift from major to minor, minor to major? Did we modulate? Things like that. We're simply not capable of making music like that easily on a device like this. And MPC One Plus shines there. That being said, I still do love things about the Medieval. And when I make the actual comparison video, I'll go over the things that I love versus and the things that I hate. My biggest gripe with the Medieval really has to do with the labeling and how they handled the display and the choice to get rid of elements that were on the display of the earlier model, the KO2, so that they could put like this cute character right here is taking up space that on the KO2 is actually occupied by visual feedback when you turn the knobs. So there are certain things you get no visual feedback for, and I think that that was a horrible choice. But let's make something on the MPC One Plus that I won't say would be impossible to make on this, but that would be, you would struggle to make, and it would be such a struggle that it probably wouldn't even be worth the endeavor. All right, so typically I don't always show this portion of me making things on this channel. There are times when I try to make like unedited versions and I will show the picking of the samples, but I kind of learned over time that it's not really necessary. Doesn't need to be shown in every video. But for the purpose of this one, I'm gonna show just how I go about choosing my samples and how easy it is to manage those samples on the MPC One Plus or the MPC One or any modern MPC. So the first thing I do, hit assign samples here over by the program, right? I'm gonna go to browse. Now, over here there's places, and in these places there's MPC One EXT. That's my external little micro SD card, mini SD card. And over here I'm gonna go to the waveforms, and I've got samples for MPC. So in here, these are all of my samples, and these are gigabytes of samples. And right then and there, how easy it is to find these samples and how easy it is for me to go through them, have it being that I have a screen, a wonderful screen, a touch screen. That's something to consider, right? Like, even though these devices are different in price point, like, theoretically, you don't need the MPC One Plus. I had an MPC One before, and I did exactly the same things that I do with the MPC One Plus on the MPC One. I think there's like 1 extra gigabyte of RAM or something like that. There's the red color. There's a few little changes, but if you can, I've seen used MPC Ones on Reverb for $420 or $425, I think, and the Teenage Engineering Medieval is $300. So if you save money for an extra month, you can have something that's much easier to use. Here, I'll navigate it with the touchscreen. I'm gonna find some samples. We're gonna make something kind of 80s-y, so I guess I'll go to one of the weird. I'll go to my basic Lindrum. Let's just do that. Basic Lindrum samples. And yeah, I'm just gonna use these. So here we go. Touchscreen. Go to the waveforms. Where did they go? Is there nothing in that folder? Maybe there's nothing in there. Let's see. I'll go to regular Lindrum. There we go. Okay, I've got these. And boom, here's all my samples. So let's zoom back out, and I'll quickly assign these samples. Show you exactly how easy it is. So I've got pad 1 selected here, and I'm gonna find the kick because I like my kick on pad 1. Lin kick. Let's pick it. Pad 2, I like my snare, so there's my snare. Boom. Now I'm gonna have my closed hat. So there we go, there's my hi-hat. And there's my open hat. Do I want the toms? Yeah, why not? I'll have the toms. So on pad 5, I'm gonna put the highest tom. So put that one there. Pad 6, I'll put this one. And then there's a low tom right here. There we go. Do I want anything else? Actually, you know, here, I'm gonna switch it to this. And there we go, now I've got drum samples. Now, do I want to crash a cabasa, anything like that? I guess I'll put the cabasa on number 8. I'll put the cowbell on number 9. I don't even plan on using those. That's another thing, if you consider the benefit that you have 16 pads. I don't have a problem with 12 pads, because as you see here, I'm only using 9 of them, but that might be an issue for some people. So yeah, I just wanted to show how easy it is to select your samples, the management of samples and all that. And the MPC One works exactly the same as the One Plus. So for another $125, maybe even less, because maybe you can offer that person less on Reverb and they would sell it to you for $350 or something like that. And then you're in the same price point as the Teenage Engineering device for something way more robust. Okay, so now I'm gonna go and name this drums, and never underestimate the ease of being able to name things and view that name just to know exactly where you are. Because even though you have the groups A, B, C, and D on the Teenage Engineering medieval, sometimes it can get confusing when you're in the middle of it. You have to develop a certain muscle memory, and that's going to take a lot of time, especially considering that everything's named so funky on that device. The KO2 might be easier because everything has its logical name, and so you won't have to memorize that this weird name actually means this, which adds a considerable amount of time to you getting to know the device. Whereas on the MPC One Plus, if you pick this up, watch a simple tutorial from Akai that they have on YouTube, you'll learn how to use it. I mean, that's how I used the MPC One when I first got it, and I was up making music pretty much immediately. So I'm gonna drop down the volume of the drum track, which again, it's really easy. Actually, I'll do it a different way. I'm gonna go to the pad mix, and I'm gonna drop things that way. So I'm on my kick, and I'll lower the level that way. I wanted to hit like -9. My snare just below that. Now I'm on my hat. That's way too high. I want that at like -18. Same with the open hat. We want like We'll give them a little extra volume. So I'll put it at -12. Good. Now my tom. Yeah, they're way up there, -3. I'm gonna drop that down. Next time, I'm gonna drop it down to exactly the same level. Alright, now back to main. So I'm fine with the drums now, and let's see. Now I'm gonna manage my metronome, so it's nice. I can just touch this. My metronome's on. Let's hear the tempo. I've got the tambourine for the metronome. I could change the sound very easily. I'm going to use that metro, click, close it. Cool. And we got 2 bars, 120 BPM. We'll do 4 on the floor since it's super simple. Okay, we're gonna do that too, overdub. Cool. Okay, let's add that. Okay, another overdub. Don't need the cowbell, and now I got drums, so. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm in sequence 1, and I'm actually gonna switch this tempo to global. Well, it doesn't matter because it's 120, that's where they all start. Close that. I'm actually gonna copy this sequence, so copy sequence, and we're gonna copy it to sequence 2, and we'll name it sequence 2, and do it. And the reason that now I'm in sequence 2, and it's got sequence 2 has the same drums as sequence 1. And the reason I do that is because, like I said, I'm going to make something that I would struggle to make on the Teenage Engineering Medieval. And I'm creating 2 parts. Normally I would make at least 3 parts for a song, but sometimes I do 3. And I'm going to take away and add more to those drums. But the first thing we're going to do is record a bass line. So. Okay, bass is out, but first thing I got to do is tune it. And yeah, that's a wonderful thing that the MPC One Plus, all of them have, is a tuner. Okay, so yeah, that's my bass is in tune. Let's see how many bars this needs to be for the bass line that I just kind of came up with. Cool. Alright, so now we're gonna lay that down. Let me just name the audio track bass. And here we go. Oops. Undo. Okay, so I think I made a little mistake in the timing of the drums, but I'm still gonna run with it because I like what it did. Let's record it. Here we go. Cool. So now it's got like a Bush Tetris kind of vibe. I don't know if any of you guys know them. You can't be funky if you haven't got a soul. Kind of Roxy music too. So I've done. Now I'm gonna go to sequence 2, which has the same drum track. Yep, we'll do that, real simple. Cool, I'm gonna do it more confidently. You know what? I'm gonna undo it and do it in a higher register because I think that might be cool. Cool. Nope. Okay, guitar time, and this is this kind of plays into what I was talking about earlier, how, you know, all gear has problems. I love this Gretsch, and this is one of the newer Electromatics. The Electromatics all used to be made in Korea. Korean manufacturing is great. They moved these thinner bodies, so the semi-hollow bodies, their production to China, even though they're $1,000 guitars retail. I didn't pay that much for it. I wouldn't pay that much for it. I lowballed a deal on Reverb and didn't think the guy would accept it, and he did. So I got this for way too cheap. But yeah, it's got a strap button that doesn't function properly. I was rehearsing and the Bigspeed like nearly fell apart, and the pick guard's already fallen off. I've only had this thing for 6 months. I'm gonna keep it because I love the way the guitar sounds. And I can work on guitars just enough to do what's necessary. And the guitar that had to go out for me to bring this one in, which was my J-Mascis Jaguar, which was made, Jazzmaster, I'm sorry, which was made in Indonesia, had a strap button issue as well. It was the top strap button. I put some filler glue in there and never had the problem again. So all gear has issues, even gear that we love. I'm gonna tune up the guitar now. So I already kind of had the idea of what I wanted in my head, because I heard that Bush Tetris, Gang of Four, insert, post-punk. Oh, here we go. Oh, let's switch you. So we got to create another track now. Put it on auto and switch to input 1. And because it's a guitar, not a bass, I gotta turn up the input volume, which is easy because I can see a representation for that. That's perfect. Let's do it. I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna drop down the input volume because that was way too freaking loud. So. Now I would drop down the volume on the guitar, but I want everything to come out of the guitar for the type of sound that I'm going for. Because when you drop the volume, it always rolls off some frequencies, even if there's a treble bleed in there or something like that. Let's go. Perfect. So let's name it guitar, and then I'll go over to the second sequence, and we'll figure out something for that. It's in a different key. I think it's in A minor. We'll do that. That's it for that guitar. So the next thing for me to do is to create another guitar. This one will be like a chorusy guitar. It's gonna run slower and maybe a little bit counter to what I have already for the stabby. I don't know if I'm going to do it on both sequences. The second sequence is kind of like a chorus. I'll use the neck pickup for this. I was using the middle pickup earlier. It'll be much darker. Let's add another track. So easy to do that. Yeah, I'm not showing it for this, but I will show me affecting everything so you can see how easy and wonderful that is. I'm gonna name this guitar 2 cool, and then we will turn on the monitoring, change it to input number 1. By the way, I'm not using any of my preamps or the Model 12 or anything. I'm going straight into the MPC One Plus. Anyway, that's one of my songs. Been rehearsing it. There's a music video for it here on the channel. It's called Life is a Gamble. Gonna play it live next Friday, the 30th, a week from today. But yeah, let's make up a guitar for the second sequence and maybe the first sequence. Or maybe I'll keep the first sequence simple since it's a verse sequence. Can't do it over here. Could do it down here. Do that, and we're gonna boost up the volume into it a little bit. There we go. Nope. Here we go. Okay, that'll work. Let's go to sequence 1. Something. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, done with the tracking. That was quick, that was easy. See my point? I would have struggled like crazy to do any of what I've done on the Medieval. And as far as like tracking the guitar and the bass, I would have had to, I mean, I got the requests from people to use a stack of coins or basically some type of paperweight to hold down the sample button and then sample into it. And then you got to fix the start and end points. Whereas on this thing, which at retail, it's an $800 machine, but if you dig on Reverb and search, it's $400 machine, which is only $100 more than that thing. So we're gonna affect everything. So the first thing I want to do is solo this guitar. This is guitar number 2. So all we have to do is go into this section right here called Inserts. I tap it. There are 4 slots for effects. So I know for a fact that I want to take the bass out of that guitar. So I'm going to go into my effects and I'm going to select EQ filter. And there's a nice effect called the Kill EQ, which I'm going to select. And now I'm going to go over here. And where it says low through, there's also, I'll zoom in a little bit if that helps. So if you see it moving, just know that that's me using the Q links over here. I'm going to hit the Q link button twice and it's skipped over to this section now. And now with the Q link, I'm gonna drop the bass frequency down to like 140-ish, or 160-ish, because usually on a guitar track that I've recorded, that's where I high pass it. And then I'm just gonna hit through and I hit it, now it's killed. So listen to that. This is without it. A lot more loaded. Might not be that noticeable to you guys, but it is for me. And now I'm actually going to hit the Q link button again and switch over to this section. And I'm going to get rid of some of the mids as well. So I'll let it play. There we go. The reason I'm doing all that is just because this particular guitar, I use the neck pickup. It's particularly dark, so I don't want all that extra bass frequency in there. I'm not going to compress it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to toy around, because usually I would put the modulation on and then an amplifier, but I'm going to go to harmonic here and I'm going to select air flavor. Flavor is like what you use to mess with your samples. So like if you play instruments like I do and you're not really interested in sampling in the way that like a boom bap producer would sample, where like you get a snippet of a song or you get a snippet of something and you try to isolate the frequencies you want with filters or with like what do you call it, stem separation. They have that now. And then you just tap drums over it and maybe you put like an 808 for bass. I don't like working that way. I like playing instruments. I think playing instruments sounds the best. But you know, I do want a little bit of flavor on this guitar. Hence the app, no pun intended. Here we go. I'm gonna hit play. I like that. But I won't use that. That's kind of cool. Q link over, a little bit of distortion, a little bit of noise, flutter. Mono 5. So now I want to add some modulation to that, either modulation or delay. The flutter is kind of like modulation, but I want to see if it sounds good to add more. So let's trigger it. And the last thing that I'm going to add to that is the secret sauce, which any of you guys that work with guitars, basses, I tend to have the bass up the middle and I'll add some compression, and I'll usually put the compressor on a bus, and I'll have the kick drum and the bass using the same compression. And then on guitars, I will always add auto pan because it frees up the center and it makes the guitars and any type of keyboard elements swirl around. Unless it's like really stabby, like the stab guitars, I'm not going to do that too, obviously. Let's hear. And I did it in half notes. Okay, cool. So the next thing that I'm going to go to, I'm going to skip the first guitar, actually. And I'm going to go to bass. I'm going to solo the bass. Okay. Now I'm going to add a compressor. So we're going to go to Dynamics. And fully wet. Just to where it's barely compressing. Now I'm gonna mess with the knee. And now I gotta boost the output up because it's diminished my volume. And I'll test it like this. Turn it off. That's without everything. That's with those on. And so now I'm going to add some modulation to the bass, which that might be something you're not used to. I'm going to add the Jura chorus at first, see if that works. If it doesn't work, I'll try a different one. Here we go. Oh, I don't have that one anymore. Oops. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop the mix down. So drop the rate down. Now we're going to go to the first guitar and we'll do a little something to that. So I'm going to solo that and see, on this one I wanted to be really kind of high, and punchy. So I just got rid of lows at 200 hertz. Even though usually I would drop it to like 160, maybe 140 and kill below that. But for this one, this is the sound that I want. And I'm actually going to boost the highs. So we're going to go over here and you hear the definition that it has. So next is, you guessed it, a compressor. And I don't usually use the air compressor that much. The vintage compressor gives some flavor to it. I don't know if I want that flavor. I'm going to try the opto compressor. We'll do a okay, it's aggressively compressing now, so I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to turn up the output. Regular. Actually, I'm gonna listen to this in the whole context of everything and see if I even need to put an amp sim on it, because I might not. Let's go over to sequence 2 and make sure everything sounds fine with that too. So we're going to go over to sequence number 2. I'm going to close this eye, which lets me see the mixer, and I'm going to go over to the MIDI tracks. That's going to be the drums. I'm going to go over to drums, which is track 1. I'm going to open the eye back up. We're going to solo those drums. so I'm gonna go over to the grid here, and we're gonna mess with some stuff, huh? So alright, I'm gonna get rid of all the hi-hats on this track right here. So let me just do that. I'm gonna go here. Got rid of them. Let's see. And I'll get rid of this and this as well. Now I'll go back over here. So let's go back out here. Let's take off solo and that was fun, made sense. Just wanted to get back to making stuff with the MPC One Plus. I haven't really touched it since I've had the Teenage Engineering Medieval, and I remembered it being comparatively easy, and it was even easier than I was thinking when I was making those comparisons. Now, this is not a full comparison video. I'm going to make one of those. I'm trying to think of how to do it. I think I'm going to get rid of all of the samples that I've loaded into the Medieval and then load it up with only the samples, which I'll be using the same samples up on the MPC One Plus, and see how it compares to make a similar beat. Obviously, I'll just make a beat because it'll have to be something simple for that. I know you can switch patterns and you can do all that, but it is a handful to deal with, and I don't think it's necessary for it to be that difficult. I think that there are ways that they could have implemented the changes a little easier. I mean, it's not the worst. Like, I've switched from section to section during a song, and it's not the worst thing, but it's like you're holding down one button and then choosing the next one, and it's kind of weird when it's going to trigger the movement. So, whereas on the MPC One Plus, if I switch from sequence 1 to sequence 2, I don't have to do anything after that. Sequence 2 will just start playing once sequence 1 concludes. Bentley, stop. Bentley, stop. And for all you guys who thought that my smoke alarm died, that's my dog and his chew toy. Smoke alarm is just fine. Thanks for your concern. But yeah, it's, to some of you guys it might be an unfair comparison, but it's completely not, in my opinion, because the thing is, most people, it seems like, buy used gear. Like, people that make music and are acquiring gear all the time, they're willing to get a used piece of gear because you're buying it to make the music, not for the experience of just buying something new. And even though brand new an MPC One Plus is like $800, and brand new a Teenage Engineering Medieval is $299, on the used market, you get an original MPC One for $425. You can probably haggle with them and get it for $400. Who knows? Maybe even less, depending on how much they need the cash. And you can probably find them at like your guitar centers and places like that used. You probably find them for around the same price. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a pretty fair comparison. It's a fair comparison with a lot of things, like the 1010 Music Black Box. I bought a used one, and I got it used for the same price as the Medieval, I believe. Now, I had my issues with the black box as well, but that was way easier to use and like switch through patterns and stuff like that than what you get with the Medieval. Now, you don't have punch effects on the MPC One Plus. But that's, for me, that's not something that I really care about. And if I want to toy around like that, I have Koala Sampler, so I can use Koala effects pretty easily. Like I can go out of my MPC One Plus into an interface, into Koala effects, and I can play with the live effects that Koala has, which in my opinion, the live effects Koala Sampler and Koala effects have, and their implementation is far superior to the Teenage Engineering Medieval. And that's, I think, for all of the features of Koala Sampler, you pay like $20. That is assuming you have an iPhone or an iPad. I don't know if it's available on Android. I think it might be. I only have one Android phone, and I only used it as a display for my Sony a7 III, which I don't have anymore, so I don't use the phone anymore at all. But yeah, it's just a much easier flow. And what I was able to do with the effects and all that, how I was able to copy that sequence and very easily take away the parts of the drums to make the drums feel like two different parts. It just, you can't compare that workflow to what you get on the Teenage Engineering Medieval. And I'm gonna do like a full comparison, like I said, where I make a beat on both, a quick simple beat, and then I'll expand it with the MPC One Plus and see just how great I can make it within some time constraints versus what I can do on the Medieval. And then after that, I'm gonna be selling off the Medieval. And the reason I'm selling it off is I do like the device and I do like it as a jam companion, but the MPC One Plus is a better jam companion, and the Teenage Engineering KO2 it's just better implemented than the Medieval in my opinion. And that just comes down to the labeling on the buttons. As someone who's learning this device, the naming convention just keeps throwing me off and making it an annoying process. I have to have my phone or my laptop with the instructions nearby so I can remember what this name means. You know, like on the KO2, it says clearly high pass HPF and LPF for high pass and low pass filter. I didn't know what those did on this until I watched someone jamming on the KO2 on YouTube and then tried it myself. You know, it's just little things like that are very annoying when you're trying to learn a new device. And also the fact that they put that little character on the side of the screen and that they thought it was okay to replace the physical representation of like the threshold and certain other aspects when you're navigating the system, just to have that character there is just beyond me. Like, if you're making devices for people to make music, that's a decision that it just baffles me that they would make. But yeah, I'm gonna sell that off after I make the next video and probably pick up a Teenage Engineering KO2. Although I'm not really in a hurry to do it. It's not like I need more gear. I love the MPC One Plus. I love Koala Sampler. I love Beatmaker 3. I even have this app on my phone that I'll mess around with from time to time. The runtime of this video is going to be long. Let me find it. It's called Audio Evolution Mobile Studio. That's what it's called. It's the one low center right here. It is a phenomenal app. It's a full DAW in your phone. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess certain people worked with old school samplers and they like that, but like SP404, SX, SP402, SP404 Mark II, like those are just way better devices in my opinion as well. And you can find SP404 SXs for pretty cheap, I believe. So yeah, I mean, I don't hate the Medieval, or I don't hate the form factor of those devices, that series of devices. Like but I think the KO2 is superior just because of visual feedback, and the way everything's labeled. I just can't get over that labeling. It just annoys the crap out of me. But yeah, look out for that other video. That took like, if I wasn't talking to the camera, what I made on the MPC One Plus for this would have taken me 15 minutes. And if I tried to do something similar on that, I would have worked for an hour and struggled and then probably hit a button on accident and undone something or taken a sample out and then just been pissed off. And yeah, I think like being able to make music easily and seamlessly, if you're like someone who just wants to create and that's all you place the value on, like you're not looking for a toy, you're looking to make music and you're serious about music. Like I use my music in my Instagram videos, I've used my music in skate videos, I've sold music that I've made to online video magazines and things like that. So I don't support myself by being a musician, but I do have a rather professional view of making music, and that's how I have fun. So yeah, something with the toyish aspect of that just kind of digs at me. But yeah, look out for that video.